Hey everybody, my name is Saúl.
I'm Daniel.
And this is the Local Drunks Podcast. We're going to be talking about different things in the industry, the restaurant industry, in the area. Talk about some news in the state of California as far as the restaurant industry goes, and then discuss other things as well. You can find us on YouTube, which you're probably looking at now. We also have an Instagram, the Local Drunks Pod, at Local Drunks Pod. And then
Black
we
and
also...
white photo.
Black and white photo, yeah. We're super classy.
Yeah.
And then also, taken by this guy, of course. And then also we're going to have a Patreon set up as well.
Yeah, please
we'll
fund
have
us.
exclusive content and the subscription tier, all that good stuff.
We don't want to work our real jobs anymore.
Yeah, we've been doing this too long.
Estoy cansado, papa.
Yeah, there is I always tell people that working 1 year in the restaurants is like working 3 years at any other job. And at this point, I've been working for 60 years.
It shows.
It's thanks. You see my liver.
Yeah, seriously.
Just wakes up in the bed next to me crying every day.
Please
Just
stop the abuse.
Put an end to it. Yeah, exactly. Thank God I don't have a gun in the house.
You just wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. It's like a time warp.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the amount of stress that's happening. Everything has to be now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the mitigating of the stress by alcohol consumption and whatever else you're into.
And I think working through COVID like really amped that up.
Dude, I
like
didn't
4 or 5.
I didn't even want to touch that. I honestly I got really blessed and really lucky on that end because I was just like I made the cutoff for unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was making a lot of money before that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able not to work in restaurants throughout all of COVID. In hindsight, I should have put that more money towards something way better. So note to yourself or to anybody in the future me, if you have the opportunity to build on something, do it. Take a boot camp or something I should have taken like a coding boot camp or something like that. I don't know. But you live, you learn.
Yeah, no, it's definitely for the next pandemic.
For the next pandemic.
If you're able to work from home.
Let's see, we're 2024 now. It's in 100 years, 100 and... 100 years,
20,
21,
30, 20s.
21, 21.
No, 21, 21.
2120.
Yeah.
When that happens again. Or, well, depending on the climate, too, because if it's hotter, it tends to happen a lot more frequent, I guess, apparently.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, if you're still around then.
If I'm still around. If they ever find the cure for aging.
They shoot you into they throw you in a SpaceX and shoot you around you end up in Antarctica frozen like Captain America.
For Elon Musk's Mars mission and his brain chip.
His brain chip? Yeah.
You seen that yet? Neuralink?
Yeah, I've seen the Neuralink.
He had the dude on JRE that has it implanted on him. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Supposedly there were some problems.
Yeah, there's been some problems. I guess one of the wires, like the brain pushed it out because it rejects anything that's not natural, which is normal, which is good. But yeah, I think he's having problems with it. But anyway, yeah, restaurants are not the bee's knees, especially during COVID. I couldn't even imagine, dude. But post-COVID, I was like hesitant to get back into it, and then I did it, and I was just like, yeah, I don't like this anymore. I don't really care. It used to be I cared to make an effort to take care of people, and I was like, just being like, oh, I'm gonna win them over. You know, I'll win a table over because they're being mean. And I'm just like, now I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, why are you even here, bro? You just here to be mad?
Yeah, if you're going to be miserable,
just go home.
Why'd you come in today?
Just go home, bro.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things, too, that post-COVID, I was kind of like, I'm tired of this. But before, it was instant gratification. If something happened and everything went right, and you were able to make someone's night,
and
it was that automatic, like instant. It was a drug, really. I could see why.
We should just been stand-up comedians.
People are, seriously, but there's no walking you could beat off in when you're a stand-up comedian.
That's true. Beat off or beat on, a hanging prosciutto. I used to box one of those things up, dude.
Oh yeah.
I was a line cook. That was great. It was great stress relief.
Seriously?
Chef's like, why is the prosciutto all dimpled? I have no idea. You should watch how you store it.
Yeah. You lay it down? Is it against a rack?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it definitely was one of those. Just it completely changed.
The dynamic?
You
said you were spit on?
Yeah, no, it was funny because we were seating people outside and they didn't want to sit outside. I was working the pandemic in a large city, but it was more of a conservative area, and it seemed like as soon as we opened very quickly. Yes, Temecula.
That's
We
Temecula.
opened very quickly after the pandemic, doing to-goes only. And then as soon as our county was like, well, we might be able to do... We went way too early into opening up and letting people sit. And then we hit another wave. But during that first time, people were trying to sit inside. And I'm like, hey, there's no seating inside, only outside. It's summer.
Damn.
It's too hot. People were like, oh, you don't want to sit here. We don't want to sit outside. And like, yeah, people were just yelling at me.
Damn, summertime COVID, bro?
Dude. Summertime COVID, bro.
Summertime COVID?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that
from the
existed,
1950s.
Summertime COVID.
And he, and then he just spit at me and walked away. And I was just like, wow. But yeah, they definitely working through COVID. It wasn't 3, it was like 5 to 6 years on every single year. So all you guys who worked in COVID definitely was. And people would like laugh. There's constantly like that, oh, we're essential. And I was just like, I never laughed at that because I was like, I'd rather be at home.
For sure.
I don't want to be trying to make light of it. We should all be at home watching Tiger King for the 20th time.
Right, exactly. The good times of COVID.
Yeah, not
what's only going to be a few weeks.
Slowly turning into Mad Max, dystopia out there.
And it only got worse and it's still going on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It never ended.
It never ended. Yeah, no, there's a wave right now that's happening. But yeah, no, definitely coming after COVID, it was I didn't want to do it anymore. So I didn't. I got into video game writing for like 6 months and made no money doing that. It's very turn and burn. You get like $15 to $20 an article you write.
Jesus.
So even to stay afloat, like those guys who are able to push through that and then get into legitimate jobs for writing, on the internet.
That's insane.
It's like more power to you, man, because that stuff is very difficult to do. Especially if you have other things like family home or other things like that. Because they're constantly pulling you away. Because you'd be impossible. Like, you'd claim a story and you'd have to finish that story in like 2 hours.
Damn.
So you have to do all your research. You'd have to write. You'd have to put everything together. And then you have to send it for editing.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I got very good at self-editing because I've been writing articles before for like a little website that I'd set up in like 2014, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd publish an article like every couple of months and just took my time with it. So I was able to condense those skills to do that in 2 hours. And then it had to go to editing. But the first month, they wanted to read everything you typed.
That makes sense.
And make sure you actually got the format down.
Okay.
And then once you got the format down, then after about a month, you could say, hey, it's done. They would skim it and be like, just go for it.
Cool.
But then after like after I would say like the 5th week, 6th week, they're like, just publish.
Okay.
And then they would go back in and then change not the headline, because the headline they'd give you already, but then they'd change the byline to make it more SEO friendly. So people would be like, oh, more clicks. But everything was SEO driven as well. So like you had to learn that whole language and learn that whole thing.
Yeah. That's part of the reason my cousin got out of that industry is because it was during like the 2016 election. And they were he worked for an offshoot of Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, Trump, 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 Trump. That's all. And he's like, dude, like, can we talk about something else?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't even pro or against. Like, it was just like, no matter what it is, he has to tie back into this. Because it's the most chaotic and it's the most clicks.
Yeah.
So he's like, how about no? And then he left to go work for PBS.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things that it is much better to have slow news. Like this constant pooling for attention from everybody who's on the internet is really watering down.
I feel like it's detrimental to society as a whole as well, right?
Yeah.
It's that instant gratification that you're getting, but clicks that translate into advertisement, revenue.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I digress. Yeah, that's cool, though. Video game articles, minus the stressful part about trying to make them ends meet on it.
Yeah. It was cool, though, because you get to write about, like...
Did they send you games to play? Like, could you? They just
no, you could get
up?
into reviews, but you had to be there for a long time before you got reviews.
Okay.
And then some of the stuff, like you do game guides, so then you could do work on game guides, but most of the time you would have to buy those games yourself. Like they'd be given limited amount of codes and be like, hey, who wants to help me with this game guide? Game's like $40. Like, cool, okay, well, that's 3 articles.
Yeah, they just took 3 articles away from you.
Yeah,
so you had to write 3 articles just to break even. And then what? 5 more articles about the same fucking game? Like, how was it?
No, one of them I started writing this about this game called Baldo, the reason that it attracted me to it was it looked like a Miyazaki game.
Oh,
It's like
sick.
Miyazaki had drawn it, or it was a Studio Ghibli
Yeah.
game. So I told him, I was like, hey, I think this thing's gonna hit because it was an Italian game studio. The guy was a huge fan of Miyazaki, a huge fan of Studio Ghibli, and he's just like, I want to make this game. Like, he drew this game, which is actually funny because he actually ended up working on this video game called Ni no Kuni.
Mm-hmm.
That's besides the point.
Yeah.
So this is not a video game podcast.
It's slowly turning.
It's slowly
to
turning
one.
the video game podcast.
That's okay.
This is what we do when we're not working, drinking, or doing drugs.
Yeah.
We're playing video games.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure.
what ends up happening is he released it, and I told my producers, like, hey, I think this thing might hit because it looks like a Ghibli film. And they go, cool. I just realized people might rip me apart because they might say it's pronounced Ghibli. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I got
this is a
3
judgment-free
articles.
zone.
Yeah. I got 3 articles in, and that game cost me $60 or
What the
$50.
fuck?
I got 3 articles in. It had gotten like little to no hits on it, and they're like, just drop it. And I'm like, dude, I gotta write like at least 5 more articles to even make $10 on this game.
That's insane.
And they're like, nope, drop it. It's not getting any clicks. Do this game instead. And I had to buy another game and then write about that game.
Nah,
and I
man.
was just like,
That sounds like a Ponzi scheme.
mm-hmm. And it was rough too because they're just like, oh, what games do you play? And it's just like, oh, I'm just a generic gamer. So like, I've been gaming my whole life, but
Everything.
I play everything, but what little time I do have, what do? You do first persons. You do first persons, you do action adventures. But everyone plays first person.
Immediate
action adventures.
gratification,
Yeah.
quick kills.
Mhm.
I mean, they basically turned it into casinos or gambling with the loot systems and everything like that. So it's just like. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's one of the reasons I play like
Yeah.
FPS.
But everyone plays those games. So then now, all the senior writers, or the writers who've been there for longer, get first dibs on those.
Really?
And then
That sucks.
or they claim those first because they've been there longer. It's like,
Money
hey, this
makers.
game's coming out
Okay.
in
Call of Duty Black Ops
December.
14.
Yeah, it's coming out in November of next year. We have a list. I'm the lead on that since I've been here for so long, and then I get to pick my second guy, who's like a guy who's been there second,
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah. So you go, you try to leave restaurants by writing
Yeah,
video
try to
game
leave-
articles.
Yeah, try to leave restaurants by writing video game articles and get driven back into restaurants because there's no money.
It's always the irony of it all, right?
Yeah, pretty
You always
much.
end up back in there because it's just fast cash
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for your
Soul,
soul,
well-being,
Yeah.
mental
Yeah,
health.
Yeah, it's crazy how drain. Even in our positions now, it's just like draining. At the end of the day, you're just like, I don't want to talk anymore. I'm over talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's now I hit that wall a lot faster. I'm finding as I get older, which is one of the reasons why I'm just like, I'm not gonna deal with your attitude.
Yeah.
Like I had a guest the other day. She was just like, what did she say? She was giving me some slack about TTP regulation,
Yeah.
and I go, yeah, that dang old stinking federal law.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, right? And she's just like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you want me to say, man? My hands are tied behind my back.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm just like,
Yeah, no, they make
Get
it,
outta
they make it sound like we're doing it on purpose, and we're doing it to make sure they don't have
I'm
a
like,
good
we're
time.
trying to make money off of you.
But it's that whole thing, like we're talking about, not to beat a dead horse about the pandemic, but the pandemic really, there was, it's 3 years in total, if you really think about it. 2020, 2023 is when we really started getting clear of it.
You're right.
And that's 3 years of people turning 21 and not having to act, and it's a year and a half to 2 years of people who could go out not being able to go out.
It's 3
and
years of not
forgetting how
getting
to-
stupid drunk, saying the wrong thing, and getting your ass beat at a bar or checked in the bar.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that people just forget. They've forgotten how to act in public and being at home with yourself and your family where people are forced to deal with you. And you think that applies everywhere else in the world, and it actually doesn't.
Right.
So yeah, so those are the high points and low points of being in the industry right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The hospitality after 2023, it was just interesting to see because it was just like, you would think people would be nicer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Me as a person, maybe it's because I worked in hospitality so long, but I'm a lot more forgiving of anything that happens. I'm like, yo, man, it is what it is. Just, can you bring the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just bring the thing? I don't know if it's because my standards feel like they're lowered, but I mean, restaurants right now are not in a good place because people that do or did enjoy doing that are just like, nah, man, when am I going to do that again?
Mm-hmm.
And so they've left, which leaves a lot more of a new crowd or lesser of a crowd. So that means like a lot more people trying to pick up a lot more slack, which you're seeing a lot, like consolidation of a lot of job roles in a lot of companies from the fallout of that. And like, I don't know exactly how it happens, but yeah, become more forgiving of things that just aren't. I'm just like, okay. Like yesterday when I went out for dinner, like things took a while, but I'm like, there's like 5 people here. And like, not a busy restaurant, but a large restaurant. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, but the older crowd was like, "Where's my things? I want them yesterday." And I'm just like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, there's no more forgiveness.
Yeah, it's just like, just be cool. Like I remember I had a guest one time on the table. She was just like, I'm walking past and she flags me down. I'm like, "Yeah, I can help you." She's like, "I've asked 3 people already for bread. And not one person, not one single one of you has brought me anything." And I'm like, "Who are you?" Like, I've never met you. And I was like, "You want bread? I'll go get it for you right now." And so I just beeline it, grab her bread, put it down. She goes, "And it wasn't even that hard." Like laughs like, dude, I shit you, laughed like Squidward at me in my face. And her kid, while her kids, young Nigel and Hunter, are eating their mother, please. And I'm just like, you guys condone this behavior? Like. Mm-hmm. What the hell? Like, I was like, man, you want me to be okay with this? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm like, no, that's no way to act to like a stranger. But that was one of the lesser interactions that I had that made me be like, I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. Like, I had some worse ones where I was like, I thought I was about to get physically violent because the dude was getting crazy aggressive.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, bro, you're out at a restaurant talking to a server. You don't know me. I don't know you. Why are you using cuss words? Mm-hmm. I was like, that's a big no-no. So I had to walk out that room and have somebody else take the table all together. I was like, I'm not doing that. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, you goddamn right, it's okay, because I'm not dealing with that. Like,
yeah, they're not paid enough.
Yeah.
And then and then there's that whole, like, I can understand why now there's a minimum tip fee, because people don't, the smallest infraction now when you're serving.
Oh yeah.
People don't want to tip anymore. Or like, I'll give them a bare minimum. Like, everyone's got to eat. Mm-hmm. And it is shitty that we rely on tips so heavily in this industry to actually pay our bills. Like, all this is seen as entry-level jobs. Doesn't matter how high you move up. It's always going to be viewed as an entry-level job. Mm-hmm. Because anyone can get a job in a restaurant, quote-unquote, anyone. But... Sorry, my brain just stopped. But...
As it does.
As it does sometimes.
Usually...
But people have taken that as especially in current times, like, oh, they didn't bring me a refill of water, or they didn't do this, or they didn't bring me my bread basket. Now I'm not going to give them any tip.
Right.
And it's just like, hey, dude, like, if we, we're taking on more tables usually, because more tables equals more tips usually.
Right.
And then the bulk of your, depending on the industry you're actually in, are the section of the industry you're in, like, and it ranges. Sometimes you work at a beer bar and you make a crap ton of tips. Sometimes you work at a tap room and make no tips.
Yeah.
Sometimes you work at a fine dining, you make a bunch of tips. This and that, because there's all these, plus there's service charges on top of that and everything else.
Right.
And it is one of those things too. It's like, since multiple restaurants do different things, one is automatically charging you service tip, service charge, the other one's not, and just it's allowing you to tip. Consumers don't know, so half the time just like, oh, is this there's a service charge? I don't have to tip. It's like, well, you can tip if you want to. The service charge is service charge, which we'll talk about in a second.
Right.
And then they go to another spot and they're like, oh, and they won't tip because they think there's a service charge already, and nobody reads it. So there's just a lot of different things happening in this industry that is really just screwing over the worker. And screwing over back half of the house as well.
Yeah, they get the blunt end of it.
Just everybody, dude. I started in this industry in the dish pit.
Yeah, same.
Those guys are like the crux. Like, those guys, like, you have a bad dish, you have a bad dude in the dish pit, like, it slows your restaurant down.
Yeah.
We're plates. We're plate. They're
right.
Jake is in plates. and he's taking his sweet time because he didn't get his second smoke break in the last 30
Right.
minutes, and he's throwing a fit.
He's
And
like,
now your whole restaurant's like slowed
fuck
down
this
to
place.
a crawl. And the next thing you know, he's just like, I need a break. And he goes out and just hot boxes his whole car, comes back in and is moving slower than he did when he left. And then that's it. And then
Hell, Jake.
Your night is ruined. But yeah, those guys don't get enough love either because, yeah, there are times where, and there's been times too where I've ran restaurants or ran front of house and, you know, our dish guys called out or he's moving slow and I have to help him out or bump him or jump in and actually just wash dishes for the evening.
Yep.
And it's just to keep the restaurant moving. And they don't see this stuff at the front because they're not supposed to see that stuff. That's the reason why most kitchens are closed.
Right.
Because they shouldn't be seeing like the dude who you just yelled at because your scallops smells fishy or is now
verbally assaulted. Because you had the nerve to mention that.
Yeah, they smell like your ex-girlfriend. But now he's washing the dishes that those scallops you threw at him, you know, and hit the floor. He's now washing that dish so that we can put some more smelly scallops on that fucking plate.
Yeah, sourcing.
Yeah. So yeah, fresh frozen. I hate that term.
Fresh frozen.
Fresh frozen.
I was like, no, let's cancel each other out, bro.
Yeah, they do. Jesus Christ. But definitely there is a different attitude when people go out now. There's a lot less forgiveness.
Yeah.
A lot, much less understanding from other people. Exactly like, you know, and there's always been very little understanding. You could always tell by talking to people if they've ever worked in a restaurant, ever, and if they have, how long ago they did, and how long they did. Like working in a restaurant for a summer is cool.
It's a good way to make some extra cash.
Make some extra cash, but also summer is usually the slow time for restaurants anyway. So they weren't in the shit most of the time unless you're like at a spot that is
now holiday season.
Yeah, you worked the holiday season. I'm going to look at you differently, and you're going to act differently as well.
Right.
You're going to be very forgiving. You're going to be very open. You know, there's times where I don't really go out to eat as much anymore because it's difficult for me to watch a restaurant start to sink. And I'm just like,
dude, and you can feel the vibe. And you're
I'm
like, this server's going down, this station's going down. You're like, oh my god.
And I'm like, how do I get into a uniform so I can help these fuckers?
Right,
Because
like
maybe one extra body. Because at this point, it's just like, dude, it's like the Battle of the Bulls. It's like just more bodies, more bodies. Just throw bodies at the situation, bro, and something will happen. You're just like, so there's times, too, you know, my wife will go out and we'll go out to eat, and I'm just watching everything. And she's like, "You can't turn it off." I was like, "Nope,
it's hard, man.
Can't turn it off, man. You're constantly
listening to this conversation over here. You're like, "Oh, did you hear that?"
Yeah.
Yesterday I went to the restroom. I came back and I was like, "All right, guys, eat up and enjoy it because this restaurant's going to be here later." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Just had a conversation with the cook." And I was just like, "This is a Sunday night service? Nah, no way."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What?" I was just like, "Yeah, anyway."
Yeah. And no one understands.
Yeah, they're like,
"What are you talking about?"
They're like, "Can we just have dinner?"
Nope.
I'm like, "Yeah, we can, I guess, but
I just fixed the toilets.
Yeah, exactly.
I just cleaned the restroom.
I just bombed it.
I just bombed it and I mopped it up.
Yeah.
Because they are short-staffed.
Yeah, and that's how it was yesterday. Because our server just like had that hysterical laugh. He was just walking around going,
slowly losing his mind.
Yeah. I was like, "Damn, bro, I know you're going through it right now." I was like, "This table isn't even cleared. You still haven't even taken this order. My parents-in-law are giving you shit about food taking forever, but it's beyond your limits because it's the kitchen's limits."
Yeah.
Then on top of that, there's nobody actually running the food, so they had to go back and grab the food for their station and run it. And I was like, no wonder shit's just sitting on the window. There's nobody running. There's not enough people here.
Yeah.
But that's you try to eat a meal, but then all you can pay attention to is just how things aren't working there.
Mm-hmm.
And then meanwhile, my lady's dad's like, "Well, why don't you work here?" And I was like, "Why would I want to jump aboard a sinking ship?" And he's like, "Well, maybe you can save it." And I'm like, I don't have that complex.
Nah.
I don't want to try to save people. Most of it's from their own doing.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if you have that many managers leaving in that period of time, you know it's the owner's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that there's no workaround or working with somebody in that echelon or in that caliber, because they're just be like, "Nope, not giving you anything."
Yeah.
It's like our U.S. government.
Every owner has their fiefdom, and it's their restaurant.
Mm.
And it's either you bend the knee and obey and do whatever the hell they want.
My liege.
Or you don't work there anymore.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. That's QPA in a nutshell too. Yeah.
That's the reason why that's my last spot is me and the ownership. in the end, it was a disagreement.
Yeah, your daughter told us this at lunch today.
The disagreement was like he wanted to expand. I said we shouldn't expand. Everyone else agreed with me and made him look foolish. And then now I'm suddenly not good at my job, even though I'm trying to pull us out of debt this whole year I'm working.
Yeah, they're like more. If we open up more revenue streams, we'll make more money. Except we won't have anybody to hire to work and pull it.
Yeah,
and everything becomes degraded in quality.
Yeah,
I mean, you see it all the time.
Yeah,
businesses are always trying to rapidly expand. I remember there was one that was called, what was it called? Rocket Spoon. You remember this one?
Rocket Spoon.
It was mostly designed. The target audience was college kids, right?
Okay.
So they were. I mean, of course, the business model to start was not sustainable. It was dirt cheap meals, like for $8 that are delivered to your door.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was fucking awesome because I was a college student, and it was like for Cal kids.
Okay.
So they worked at a communal. And then they just had drivers running back and forth, and it was phenomenal. And then I think when they started expanding locations, and then so I think they got funding for their private sector, and then they expanded to like Daly City, San Francisco. The second they did that, they had to up the price for everything. So now these affordable, okay, $8 meals now became $16 shitty meals. Ooh. And I was just like, nah. And out of business. Out of business.
And a model like that too, you have to stay in low income. You have to focus on.
It's your bread and butter.
Yeah, you have to. You can't get into a city like SF and expect to survive because things are so expensive there.
Right, and then try to pawn off half of the cost onto the poor people in the East Bay that are just like me. I was a student. I was like, I can't afford this anymore. I'm just gonna Uber Eats a burrito now because that's when Uber Eats was coming along, and they're like, yeah, don't worry about
free
it.
Delivery. Yeah.
They just all they do is squeeze in, take the market share, and then hype everything up on you like a corporation usually does.
Yeah.
But yeah, expanding too fast without the quality, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
they just all they're trying to do is grab cash and hit out the door.
Oh, it's a major cash grab. And that's what but that's what business is, at least now, as far as like the service industry in general. It's just it's coming from all sides. Mm-hmm. And then too, it's like they don't want to raise pay.
No,
because everything else is raising.
Right, dude. Everything's expensive right now, bro. I don't even go out.
Yeah,
I don't go out in the Bay Area, dude. I can't afford to. And then if I can't afford to, if I do, I've taken a couple risks at a couple places. I won't name names because they're still. I'm sure they're struggling right now. Mm-hmm. Like Day Trip. And so it was just like it was good for what it was, but like $150 for two people with the fucking 25-minute pasta fire time. I was like, nah, bro, you can't be doing this. And then on top of that, I just came back from England. I think we told you the story. Just came back from England. I ordered a pint of Trumer, which is a domestic fucking beer in Berkeley, and they gave me a half pint for $7. And I was like, dude, I get things are expensive, but come the fuck on, bro.
Oh, yeah.
If the English can just pull you a fucking mug of that shit for $5, like, why are we doing this? What are we doing here? And I was just like, nah, I can't. So it was like disappointing because I was like, one, I could make this food better myself. 2, I can drink for cheaper at home. Why don't I just do this at home?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a struggle because the bulk of my experience in the industry has been in the Central Valley. And we don't have that problem that the city has or San Francisco has of like, there are a lot of people who go out. Yeah. Like they started dealing with that problem of what we were dealing with in the Central Valley because of COVID, people just not wanting to go out. Like the Central Valley is a very barbecue and home cooked meal oriented space. Right. And
you can go to an asada over there. Yeah. People have property.
People have backyards to host a lot of people. Yeah. And have their whole family and friends over. For sure. And start drinking at noon.
And you have that one Theo that has that one recipe. That's all you need.
Yeah. And it's just, so you're competing with, only 20% of Fresno goes out. And you're competing with, at one time, Fresno had the highest per capita restaurant to resident ratio. Really? Yeah. So we were competing, all these different residents, all these different people, or restaurants are fighting over this 15 to 20% of people who go out every weekend. And it's just like, you walk into a restaurant and it's going to be asses and elbows, just
I
wall
know.
to wall.
You're talking about Sal's, bro.
Yeah, and then you go
Bobby
to another
Salazar.
restaurant, and there's 3 people in there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the hell? And it's just like, yeah, everyone decided to go to this restaurant today.
What is that?
Everyone's gonna go to this. And it's just how it is. It's just super weird.
It's
It's
so
like everyone's
strange.
connected to a hive mind. They're like,
The
we're
bars
gonna
and
go
clubs out there?
hang out at this club and these 2 clubs. Like, if you're this person making this much money, these are the 2 clubs you're going to go to. If you're in this bracket of the economy,
It's in your tax
these
bracket.
are the bars you're going to go to.
The
And
modernist.
if you wear pointy boots and a cowboy hat, you're going to go to Aldo's.
Aldo's,
And that's
Banda Night, bro.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's
Damn,
just,
that
there's
shit
no
was
ifs,
my
ands, or
shit.
buts, dude.
Bro, have you ever
You
been to
go through-
Aldo's before? You be honest.
I actually went to Aldo's, and had to wait in line, and my buddy had finally convinced me. I was like 23 or 24. He had just come back, and I was like, nah, dude, I think I'm good. I was like, it's taking us so long to get in. And then he was telling me about it. He was like, oh, yeah, there's an 18 part and there's a 21 part. And I'm like, why
that
are there
sounds
an 18
convoluted.
plus on one
That's
side?
for the Drizzy Drakes of the world,
yeah,
the Diddies of the
Drizzy
world.
Drakes, Yeah.
They're like,
So what do you go to high school for?
Mm-hmm. the James Francos.
yeah, then.
And then, so.
How old are you?
Yeah. So then, you like ice cream?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I ended up playing a show. I was in a band. I was in a couple of different bands.
Sick.
And I played a show at this place called Mezcal in downtown.
Okay.
And it was like Aldo's for adults.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It was all older, pointy booted.
Straight up ranchero style.
Yeah, and their wives that were. It was like the dudes who were successful at pulling those high school girls.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
but they're all in their 30s and late 20s now.
Hell yeah.
And that was a tense room too, because it was like we were a Spanish rock band. It was 2 light-skinned Latinos and then 2 white dudes playing
Damn.
rock in español. And
Damn, they hand you that note too.
Yeah, dude.
Like Chalino, you're like this.
Yeah.
La, 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 la.
Yeah, dude. We started playing. We had to start playing cumbia because no one was moving, dude. We were playing like Maná and Malay and all
You're
these
over
other
here,
people.
labios compartido.
Yeah, nothing, dude. And then I was just like, wait, like how many Selena songs you know? Like 5? Okay, let's play them all.
For
and
sure.
We fucking boom, and then only the women danced, and the guys were just staring at us.
Lame.
And I was just like.
Lame.
And one of my buddies, Jesse, came and watched us, and he's like, "This is fucking awesome." They gave us a booth and like a bottle, and he's drinking and getting all
What
crazy,
the hell?
ordering tacos and eating and shit. He's like, this is great. We should do this more often. I'm like, no. As soon as our set's over, I'm looking at him like,
We gotta
as soon
get
as
the
our
fuck
set's
outta
over,
here.
we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, for
we're
sure.
gonna pack up our shit.
Hey,
and we're
bro,
gonna die.
why don't you play anything I like?
Yeah,
You're like, who are you? Don't worry about it.
yeah.
Play something I like, though. Fresno
Yeah.
fools, bro. For us, puro Fresno cabrones, as my one of my former dishwashers like to say.
Yeah.
Because he'd be like, ¿Dónde eres? And I'd be like, oh, Fresno. And he's like, ay, puro Fresno cabrones. And I was like, I see you've interacted with some of us before.
Yeah. Nope. Very prideful people.
Yes, dude. Ridiculously. That sucks, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those, dude.
All those.
That is.
Did you ever go?
I went one time. That's all I needed. I just needed to get off my bucket list. Because I always hear stories about it, but usually it's like a shootout.
Yeah. That's how it turned into Switch Nightclub. I can't remember what it was called before. And then Switch Nightclub, and they even had like the power symbol from the Switch console.
What the hell?
As the eye.
Are you serious? They just straight up ripped it off?
Before it was that, it was. I gotta tell I gotta remember. I gotta call my buddy. I'll talk about it during a Patreon
Hell
episode
yeah.
or something.
Hell yeah.
And I got the only time I'd ever been there, and it was one of those weird places too. It's like it was 20 and over, but if you were 18, they might let you in as well.
Yeah, Fresno rules.
Yeah.
You just gotta know the right people.
And I got a phone call from my buddy Joaquin, and he was like, "Hey, can you come and get me? I'm at club. God dang it, I remember it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, man." I go, "You want me to just pull up the front?" He goes, "No, you can't pull up the front. Park by the Office Depot, because it was right by Office. Like, there's like that's the weird thing about clubs. Is like, hey, here's a club in Fresno,
Yeah.
and here's a Target right next to it.
Right. Commercial.
Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'll pull up." And he was like, "Yeah, just let me know when you're here." So I parked like on the street. I texted him, "Hey, I'm here." And there's fucking cops everywhere.
Oh, hell no.
And I see him running, holding his pants, running.
Oh,
you know.
no.
And he jumps in, and I go, what's up, man? Drive. And he's like, that's so funny. And he goes, yeah, there was a shooting. And I was taking photos. He's a photographer. He'd go to clubs and take photos.
Oh, sick.
And he was like, yeah, and they wouldn't let anyone out. And I'm parked right out front. No, I don't think he did. He was like, yeah, someone started shooting. And then they locked the club down, and I think the guy got out, but now the cops are here, and they're not letting anyone out.
They locked him in the building with the shooter?
It's something like that.
What is it, Uvalde Police?
Uvalde? Yeah, Uvalde.
Uvalde
or whatever.
Uvalde, I don't know. Did you say, yeah.
So then I was like...
I'll lock him in there, he'll be fine.
What do you want to do?
He'll run out of ammo eventually.
Yeah, how many clips can you snuggle? Can you sneak into
unless he keistered one.
Yeah. Is he wearing baggy pants? Okay, we'll wait. We'll give him 2 hours.
Give him 2 hours. I got a lunch break anyway.
So I'm like, well, you want to go home? He goes, I'm going to get Denny's. So we went to Denny's.
Hell yeah, that's the way you end the night in Central Valley.
And then I dropped him off at home, and then the next day, his girlfriend dropped him off at his car.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, but I
forgot
what that one was called. I think my brother had gone there one time too, and he said it was super sketch.
Yeah, there usually are down there, especially when it gets into those pointy boots territory.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, oof, it's all ego at that point.
All ego.
But yeah, dude, I went to one night, banda night at Aldo's. I couldn't hear for the next week.
Oh yeah.
Like it was a full on band. Like I was like, and it's just like the percussions, boom, so hard that you can feel it in your chest, and you're like coughing up loogies that you didn't even know were in there. And it's just like, and I was just like, ah.
There was this spot on Bullard and Marks, I think. It was the only reason I know because there's a library there, and then there's also an old liquor store that was like they would carry really high-end wines and really high-end spirits.
Ooh.
And they ended up closing, but there was a place that opened, and it was a bunch of different clubs. Like clubs and bars always would open up there, and restaurants, and they'd always think I think it was called Elements at one time.
Dang.
And it was called some other things. And one of the last iterations of it, the last time I lived in Fresno, I walked in, I had some friend that worked there, and it was a place probably the size of this first floor, and they had a 20-piece band in there.
What?
Like full horn section.
Dang.
Freaking tuba player, freaking two bass drummers hitting it.
It was
They
just a
had,
quinceañera.
they had like violinists and everything, and they're like someone singing, and it was so loud in there. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, oh, this is what happens Sundays. We do like, you know, like
we
ceviche.
definitely audience.
Yeah, we do ceviche and the red beer Sundays.
Damn,
with
that sounds
band.
pretty fire though.
And I was just like, holy crap, it's so loud.
Why do they do that, bro?
Yeah.
You ever go to the Mexican restaurants? They're always bumping music. And you're like,
yeah.
can I get the number dos, por favor?
They're like, what you say?
Yeah, you don't know if you're having a heart attack or if it's just the music, just the salsa or the music. You know, all three.
I can't tell.
Yeah,
it's indigestion.
Anyone else smell almonds? And you just fall back.
It's like, oh, he must have got in my bag.
Yeah, you can't even tell when you got shot. The music's so loud.
Oh, dude, seriously.
Like, how'd they even tell?
It
was off.
Oh, everybody running. Everybody running.
Yeah, everybody running.
Boom, boom,
The
boom.
lights flashing.
Boom.
And it's, gunshots out. You gotta wait for you gotta fire on the 2s and 4s, bro.
There you go. On rhythm.
On rhythm.
Fucking hell. But yeah, that's the only one time I went was for Banda. This shit was wild. I told my boy, because he always takes me out. He was always taking me out. He's like, oh, I got you, bro. So this night I'm like, hey, bro, don't worry about it. I've been working. Let me take care of you. And he's just like, all right, tight. So he's like, you know, we're ordering drink after drink after drink. And so we get to we get to closing. The lights are on. And I'm like, here you go, lady. And she's just like, okay. And she goes, it says decline. I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, you got this right, bro? He will never let me live that down. Never let me live that down. I was like, my bad, bro. I totally thought I had enough funds. And I did. I checked my bank account. She was a hater. She was just hating.
She was hating?
She was hating on me. I insist.
Because you didn't have the big...
I didn't have the boot. I didn't have the botas, bro. I didn't have
the botas, the belt buckle.
I was missing my hat. I was off. You know, he was wearing a SpongeBob riding a cat shirt, and I was wearing shorts and an Interpol shirt, and we did not fit in at all. They're like, "Who the fuck what are these guys doing here?" And I was just like, "I'm just here to check it out." I'm like hella white. Yeah, they were like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, did not fit in. Did not fit in at all. It was a good time though. I had a great time. R.I.P. Aldous.
I think they're still open, aren't they?
I don't know. You
Ooh, I haven't been out.
Jamie, pull it up. Let's see.
Yeah, I haven't been out in Fresno in a long time. Last time I was in Fresno, it was an overnight trip to pick up some stuff from my in-laws' house, and I only went to.
Bro, it's still open.
It's still open. I'm not surprised, dude. That place will never
Friday
die,
through
bro.
Sunday, bro. We gotta go to Aldo's nightclub.
I'm pretty sure that's drug money keeping that place open.
You don't say. No, Aldo's?
Yeah, I know.
Have you been to the restroom in there?
Dude, the Aldo's, and then there's a nightclub like 3 doors or 4 doors down from it on the corner of that roundabout.
Yeah.
And it's called
Legends? Is it Legends?
No, Legends is over there. Legends is closed now.
No way.
Yeah, they closed up like 3 or 4 years ago. They sold, and it's like a restaurant now again.
Damn, what's my 6th grade teacher gonna do now?
Yeah, remember it was Marsoul's or something like that. It was like a New Orleans jazz restaurant, and then they closed, and Legends opened, and now it's closed, and now it's like another restaurant again. I don't know how the heck it became a restaurant, just because like that dude had installed showers in Club Legends.
Hell?
Yeah, there were showers. Yeah.
Oh no, it's straight up bathhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Look how big Aldo's is. I didn't realize how large it was.
Yeah, it's got to be like that's got to be some sort of
in the Central Valley.
In the
drugs
Central Valley,
at the Ronald McDonald's.
Yeah.
No, that place is huge. Yeah, I went to Legends one time with Shannon actually, and so I'm dancing in there, and we're having a good time, and it's a gay bar, and so we're dancing, and I look to my right, and I see my teacher from 6th grade, and I go, "Hey," and he's just like,
Caught, just busted.
Yeah. Bro, he was grinding too. He was grinding. I don't know who he was grinding up. I felt bad for him because he was like, she's just clapping. I was just like, "Hey, get it, bro." I was like, "This is a judgment-free zone. I wouldn't be here if I was judgmental."
Mm-hmm.
That shit was hella funny though because he was like, and I was like, "I'm not gonna tell anybody. I don't care." I don't care.
You're like, "Hey, just have a good time."
For real though, have a good time. No, he shouldn't have to worry about something like that.
Yeah, no, I like that bar. I used to go because one of my buddies used to bartend over there, and she was a regular of mine a long time ago. One of the first restaurants I worked at in Fresno, and I went in. What was her name? And then she was super sweet, and I walked in one time because a friend asked. She was like, "Hey, you should come to Legends. Blah blah. Like, they hang out here. It's a cool vibe." I was like, "Yeah, whatever, man. I always kind of wanted to go anyway."
Mm-hmm.
But so then I went, and they had the original Fresno Hofbrau bar from like 1919 or 1918 or something, and 1910s. Damn. And he had bought it, and that was their middle bar. They had a back bar, they had a middle bar, which was the dance floor, and then you go into the shower area, and then you go to the other bar, which is kind of like the entry bar on the left by the pool tables. And this place was huge.
Yeah.
Like Candyland. And
I'm sure it was to some.
And
especially in the shower area.
I was like, "Is this the original?" And it said they had the Hofbrau like on the mirror, across it. And I'm like, "Is this the original Fresno?" I remember sitting the Golden Hofbrau. I remember sitting here when I was a kid at this bar.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, "Holy shit." And then she popped up, and I go, "Holy crap, what are you doing here?" And she was like, "Oh, I work here." And she's like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Hey, dude, is this the original?" She's like, "Yeah, it is. Isn't it awesome?" And I go, "Good Lord, this is sick, dude."
That's super sick.
So then, like after that, the bartender free drinks pretty much on the house at any bar you fucking go to, pretty much.
That's sick.
So throw her 100 each time I saw her, and she'd hook me up. And but that was one of the best things about going to that bar was because they had that original bar. It was like a piece of Fresno history just sitting in the middle of this club.
That's tight.
And then they had a pool in the back, which is hella crazy. They had a pool. They had like a wading pool.
A pool. Bro,
so people would just jump into the pool.
I'm sure they did.
So I'd go out of so my friend would always want to hang out in the back.
Don't go in there without birth control though.
And they walk in and just be drinking drinks or whatever, and it was cool vibe. I loved using the men's restroom in there.
I'm
no
sure
one's
you
ever
did.
in there. No one's ever in there. No.
It's like all the urinals had these beautiful viewing holes.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Stalls.
Yeah.
He's like, again, Candyland.
Yeah, it was weird. It was all low, and I'd get on my knees to pee. It was crazy.
It was the strangest thing. Sometimes I feel like someone was just staring at me.
Yeah. It was good times, though. It was good stuff, though.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wonder if they kept it as a new business. That'd be tight if they would.
Yeah, it'd take a lot of renovation just to actually probably get that back into a restaurant. Because they did have a kitchen, but they didn't really upkeep their kitchen at all.
Gross.
So you'd have to rip all that out,
Ugh.
completely gut everything. You could probably, if the bar was still there, you could use that bar because that bar was super nice. That was one of the best things about Cosmopolitan downtown was that their bar was like from 1922 or something.
Damn.
So they had like an old wood bar, and you'd walk in, and it was super cool. And then, High Speed Rail was going through, so they bought all that land out from under them. They had like a mill just to move to a new spot. They moved to a new spot, and they tried to get the state, to move their building down to the spot they're going to.
Sick.
And then the state's like, no, we paid you out already. Like, we're
Oh,
not
shit.
going
They didn't
to.
sign up for that before they took the payout? Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
So then they ended up, it would cost them even more money just to move that building with everything in it.
Fuck, so they just got rid of it?
So, yeah, they just knocked it down, which was a bummer.
It's a fucking historical landmark.
I think it still might. I think they raised it. I'm not sure, but I next time I'm in the hometown, I'll have to drive through that neighborhood. And see. It's just right on the cusp of Chinatown.
Oh shit!
And then they opened up in this like super generic, super sterile, like industrial style.
We're on Fulton.
Super Boots. Yeah, it was it was right by the Selland Arena, which is even worse.
Oh, the Selland Arena.
The worst.
Right by the Amtrak, just in between trains.
Yeah, it was right next to the train tracks.
Oh man, that's
And
terrible. Right next to the bread factory.
Yeah. Lavash.
We're gonna take it down to the bread factory.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, it was just one of those.
The Selland Arena, man. I used to go to see the Fresno Falcons there. That shit was tight.
That was the time, dude. And then they got moved to the ice rink.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then they ended up closing down, and then the Monsters popped up a couple of years later. It was super weird.
The Monstars.
Anyway.
I haven't been there in a minute, dude. Every time I go there, I go to this place called Kebab City. Have you been there?
Oh, yeah, Kebab City, yeah.
Fucking fire. Started in Fowler, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I love their hummus is fire. They do fresh pita. I don't know. If you're ever in the neighborhood, go visit that. That place is fire, but. All right, what else do we got to talk about?
Well, we usually would talk about. Let's turn into the reminiscing about Fresno podcast.
We really did.
This one, yeah.
I mean, it's bound to happen regardless.
Yeah.
In one of the episodes.
And then, no, it's probably a good place to call it quits. But it was. We'll talk about a little bit more of what's happening. Like that one dude who's suing that one place because he said illegal stuff happened. It's just because they didn't make anyone take breaks. Remember that? I sent you that thing. And then also the junk law was. I wanted to talk about the junk law, but in all honesty, with Newsom signing that sort of stay of execution.
Oh, he reversed it, right?
Yeah, he reversed it. Yeah, okay. He said because there was that. So if for those of you who aren't in California, there's going to be this law that actually bans the charging of what they call junk fees, which would be anything from service charges to anything else. Mm-hmm. And that in San Francisco, they've been doing this for decades. But there was a 5% tax that would go into a fund that would provide health insurance for restaurant employees, mm-hmm. which was seen as, at the time, extremely forward-thinking. Mm-hmm. But in the last...
To certain people.
But in the last, 5 years, I think that's kind of fallen out of favor, especially working in the city and then people seeing that. Why
don't you just pay them a decent wage?
Yeah.
And there's because our margins are thin.
Yeah, our margins are razor thin. And then also, most people are like, well, they usually calculate that inside the whole cost. It's like, no, it's always in there. It's just they tell you that and then they'll put it in. And some people just like to be more upfront about it.
Right.
They're just like, hey, this is 5%. Right. This is what's going towards that fund.
Like Comey did when they came out with the law, and they're like, well, all right, we're putting in $75 extra into the price tag then.
Yeah.
How long that was sustained, I don't know. Because they probably just make a break even on certain costs, maybe labor.
But that whole thing, with pay, people completely forget about that whole fact that inflation really hit the restaurants really hard. There was a time last summer where you could get a crate of eggs. It was $40 for a crate of eggs usually.
That's really expensive.
It jumped up for 6 weeks, 8 weeks to $75 per crate, and it was very difficult. The place I was managing, or the place I was running, it was very difficult for us to even buy things. because we're just like, okay, now we have to equate for this cost, but you have to still have the same menu that people actually are used to and accustomed to and they want. So if you take anything off the menu, they'll be like, why is it off the menu? And then they just won't come back.
Literally can't afford.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, we'd love to do this, but like, and eggs are one of the things. Eggs are one of your money makers.
Yeah,
like eggs are one of the things you
Loved
make
by all.
a lot of margin on, because usually it's 10 cents, 5 cents an egg. You're charging $1 for it.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, that's a lot. That's a hugely high profit margin. This little inside
McDonald's.
baseball, folks. That's a really high profit margin. Yeah, but McDonald's all powder eggs anyway, and which is even less. and you're like, it is, until you take into effect that we're not charging you that much of a profit margin on bacon, or not charging you that much of a profit margin on our bread, or not charging you like this and that. Like, it's really that 80 cents, 70 cents, 60 cents is making up for
the rest of it.
The rest of the stuff we're breaking even on, or covering and losing a little bit on. But we're just hoping to sell so much of it is that it will make up for that. And then once you equate or add, hourly stuff into
overhead in general,
it's kind of So that junk fee law, most people were really panicking because they're just like, that's it, this is the end.
Yeah,
like,
we're doomed.
We're going to food costs are going up already. We can't afford to pay these people more. And in some instances, you can. An extra $1 or $2. Like, this is a note to restaurant owners and stuff.
Yeah.
An extra $1.
Yeah, but it takes from the bottom line.
Yeah. An extra $1 or $2 to your employees, saying thanks for sticking around. That goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
And then also too, like field trips, man. Especially in the industry where if you have hard liquor, you can go to distilleries.
Yeah.
Usually on the distillery's dime, and they'll treat you guys to tasting all their stuff. That's a great group building activity.
For sure.
You can go to breweries, you can go to malt houses, you can learn about these processes and make it fun for these people.
Right.
And
Education.
most of the time, they'll give you a discount, and then you can. And next thing you know, you're taking 10 or 12 employees out, and it's $50 to get them drunk and have a good time. It's $100 total because another $50 in tips or whatever, $100 in tips, $150 total.
Right.
And that will satiate people. That'll get people to be like, you know what, this place is awesome. These guys are actually looking out for us. Especially in the city, it's a lot easier because they do have health insurance already. You have to worry about paying for that. Or you pay into it as well. So or most bigger corporations have to provide their own. Like if it's over a certain amount of number, I think it's 20. Over 20, you have to provide your own.
Yeah.
But a lot of smaller guys. But that's really the issue that no one really spoke about.
Right.
Everyone was speaking about these junk fees that were really like, oh, these are detrimental to us going out. We don't want to go out anymore. And then like these articles came out and they're like, oh, this place is doing it. And they don't charge any junk fees, and they just, what you see is what you pay. And like a burger and fries is $26, and I'm like, holy shit, no, you are paying the junk fee.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and we're getting around it because the employees are part owners, and like they get a little bit of profit sharing. And I'm all for profit sharing, but it's really only works for a business when there's a small amount of owners, and these restaurants were really small, less than 10, 15 employees. So it's a lot easier to do that kind of stuff with.
Right.
Like you could talk about the Zaxby's pizzas, which are employee owned. After you get a certain amount, you start getting profit sharing and all these other things. And they have multiple locations, and see how they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But an extra $1 on a pizza or $2 on a pizza every 6 months, people can eat that. Like it's just an extra $2 compared to showing up and paying $20 for a burger and fries, and then doing the 5%, then doing an extra
it's $20 for the burger, then $5 extra if you want to add fries to it.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, just give me a fucking burger and fries.
And fries are like, and at that point too, like that's more of a philosophical question of like, okay, well, we hand cut our own fries, we just let them steep overnight in cold water, this and that. Like there's all these approaches.
Give me the frozen.
But in all honesty, dude, you could literally get frozen shoestrings and then make your own shoestrings, and the consumer cannot tell the difference.
Nah, we're fine.
Yeah, and like I'm pretty sure your little restaurant's not going to lose its Michelin star won't lose its recognition. You're probably not even on the Michelin guide.
Yeah, maybe a bib gourmand.
Really,
if you're selling frozen fries, you lazy bastards.
James Beard's gonna look over, and he's rolling in his grave right now because he loved San Francisco. And you shat on the memory of him because you're serving frozen fries,
waffle fries.
It serves some, ethos that you convince yourself that this is what food needs to be.
Yeah, no, get out of here. That bullshit.
Yeah.
No, for sure, though. I'm glad it got reversed because I think restaurants would have been even more so doomed with it.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to some of my buddies that are in there, like one of my buddies runs Octavia, a restaurant in San Francisco. He's like, yeah, it would have fucking ruined us.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, for sure. And Newsom knows that, especially as a restaurant owner. He owned, Plumpjack for X amount of years. And, what's funny is my former chef, like my first actual chef, the guy that gave me a lot of guidance and, mentorship, he worked for him for decades, and he's just like, as I'm older now, he's retired, he's just like, the motherfucker never gave us health insurance, never gave us a 401k, didn't give us anything to secure our future, and he's like, and we worked our fucking asses off.
Yeah.
And he's like, and this motherfucker's gonna be president.
Yeah. Welcome to restaurants in the 80s and 90s, bro.
They're like, you're lucky you're alive.
Yeah, welcome to restaurants from the 60s or 70s, fine dining on until the 2000s, until the Food Network.
Right.
The Food Network. We'll have an episode one time where we talk about the Food Network and how that's ruined restaurants. But
shout out to Jida, sponsor us.
Yeah,
I'll sponsor them.
Yeah, let's do it. Hey man, I'm for sale, Craft.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Let me get a sponsorship.
Yeah,
sponsor.
Yeah, wear whatever you want me to.
Right here.
Yep.
I'll get Drake tattooed on his forehead.
I'll look like a race car driver. Have shit all over me.
You ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
Ricky Bobby.
But the junk phyllo is definitely something I wanted. But we're kind of so far removed, and plus with that stay of execution from Newsom, it really just threw it out the window. But there's definitely, I do feel like we did miss the opportunity being of the news reporting, having stepped in, even though it was a very niche, focused on video games.
Yeah,
we miss as reporters. People really miss that opportunity to actually dive in and be like, why can't, I thought coming out of COVID, when workers really started having a lot more rights, not just in San Francisco, because San Francisco is very worker focused, the city, and then the East Bay is kind of bled into there and stuff, and sometimes some parts of the South Bay, but this area in general, they're so employee focused. I feel that there were times when after COVID, I thought that was going to spread throughout California and then spread throughout New York, same thing. Your big metro areas, a little bit more employee focused. Maybe. I've never worked in Chicago. I've never worked in Miami. Yeah. So if you listen to this and hear this and you have opinions,
write in.
Yeah, write in.
Let us
post
know.
on this podcast or whatever, or it'll be localdrunkspod@gmail.com.
There you go.
And let us know exactly how it is in those areas.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
But yeah, I thought there was going to be this more of a focus on workers and workers' rights and getting paid more, and I just kept waiting for it to happen as I got back into restaurants, and it never happened. Not even in this city. And it was just one of those there was less people coming back to work, and you can kind of negotiate. Hey, I want a couple extra bucks more an hour. It was not much, but it's a couple extra bucks. Yeah. And they would do it. And then, signing bonuses were wild. Hey, come and be a chef here and we'll give you $1,000. And then recommend a friend, we'll give you $500. Mm-hmm. And it was super crazy, these signing bonuses. And I was like, dude, I get these jobs and be like, I don't know anyone in this industry up here. Yeah. So I can't recommend anybody. Right. And it was super crazy. And then that just kind of went away. You'll see some every so often on the outskirts, inland. You'll see one every so often say, hey, come and be a chef here and we'll give you $750. Sometimes in the city as well, you see hey, $1,000 signing bonus.
Especially in high-end.
But you have to be here for 3 months and then we'll give you it. And there's all these other, especially high-end restaurants.
Fine dining restaurants. It's 6-month minimum, X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Especially because they need people of the caliber and they're we can't just have any chump roll up. Mm-hmm. So it's just you have a bunch of experience. It's we'll give you $1,000 if you last 6 months. Yeah. So it's $500 up front, $500 at the end.
Yeah. So it's definitely in certain aspects or certain categories of it, it's a little bit of workers have gotten the upper hand, but I thought that was going to spread to everything, and it just didn't. and then now it's never going to change. Like there are definitely some things that need to change in the industry, and
Yeah.
it's just never going to happen
No.
anymore, just because the window is passed.
Yeah.
And now there's other
Rewrite the
things we
whole
need to focus on.
business,
Mm-hmm.
business model of
Yeah.
exploiting labor.
Yeah, yeah, but we definitely like people missed the mark on that junk fee thing. They're more complaining about their pocketbooks, which I understand. Like we're heading, we're racing towards a recession. So I understand why people are more worried about, like how are they supposed to pay for their $26 burger when they have to pay for power to,
PG&E.
charge up their
What the fuck's up with these
Yeah.
electricity bills?
$80,000 electric car.
Dude.
You know,
Oh,
that
yeah, for
explodes
sure.
when it gets too hot.
Hell yeah.
So,
Hell
like
yeah.
how am I supposed to pay for this $26 burger and pay for your health care if I gotta charge up my mobile?
Yeah. I got to go to the supercharge station.
Yeah.
Put my 20 kilowatts in this bad boy.
Yeah. El Prado was it's like 3 doors down from 3 or 4 doors down. It's like a block and a half away, dude. Yeah, it just hit me because I'd always drive by it and it was always closed. And then one time I drove by and they're open, and I was like, "What is happening?" And then the craziest looking people walked out of there, and it was like things you're just like. One of these things, like none of these things are like the other thing.
Like,
You're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And
Face
then I
tattoo.
talked to my buddy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, El Prado's crazy." And then like, if he was saying it was crazy,
Damn.
it was definitely crazy.
Damn.
And I was like, because that dude was like, some dude could get stabbed next to him, some like this and that. Like anything will happen. He'd be like, "Oh, it's a chill night." You're like, dude, it's a chill night.
Like,
you
bro,
kidding me?
how you living, bro?
Like, oh yeah, I just snuck out the back and like I met you in front of Office Depot, bro.
Yeah.
And then just like then he's telling me like, oh, El Prado's nuts. I'm like, El Prado's is nuts. If El Prado's is nuts to you, then I should
Yeah.
not walk into that place.
You should stay away.
Yeah, he was like, no. He goes, you definitely would be the only person speaking English in that whole spot. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't. I'm like, here's this white boy trying to speak Spanish to us.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Like, you're an imposter.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Are
among
you,
us.
Yeah, are you having a stroke?
Yeah.
You sound like you're eating peanut butter and trying to speak Spanish.
Hey, bro, you okay, bro?
Yeah, it's called.
I think he's having an allergic reaction.
Yeah. Anyway,
Fucking hell.
so you can find us, like I said on earlier, YouTube. We're also looking at. We do have a Patreon as well. We'll probably drop that in the.
What's the YouTube account?
We don't have. If you look up Local Drunks Pod or Local Drunks Podcast, you'll find us. We're the only one on there.
Okay.
But we can't get a designated URL until we have 100 people subscribe.
Okay.
So if you're watching this
Subscribe
on
and
YouTube,
like.
hit the subscribe, and if you'd like to be up to date on shorts and stuff like that, there's going to be a notification bell, probably I think down there somewhere. I'm pointing down there, you son of a bitch. And but yeah, and then we're also going to be coming out with some shorts as well. We got some things planned.
Big
we have a buddy
things.
named Spencer who is a collector. We talked to him about pulling out some really nice stuff because that dude has a lot of alcohol, and he says he'd be more than willing to share with us. And then we'll also be doing shorts, doing cocktails, talk about origin of things. We had discussed doing some cocktailing pre-podcast show.
Yeah.
If you guys,
Like feature
we
one.
might try it, 1 or 2, but I don't want to get too educational just because I
Yeah.
just want us to have fun.
I think if we start with like, this is the one we're drinking today,
Yeah, that'll probably be good.
like a beer.
Like a beer, yeah.
But it's just like, we're going to try this one today. That way we can
you know, it's only
diversify.
going to be Coronas for you. You're like, hey, can we do Corona again?
I'm done with just a beer too. If we can
Yeah.
pop one.
Victoria.
As long as it's not IPA.
Oh, yeah.
Victoria's fire.
Some Guinness, baby.
Some
We could do my special where I drink Guinness and absinthe. Just pound them.
Watch Saúl get drunk.
Yeah, watch me
Blackout
get
drunk. He's like, oh, having
I've
an
seen that to be one of
82.
those where you end up you end up crashing over at the pad.
Yeah.
Seems
I'm
like-
stranded here.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
Oh, you had no idea.
You knew
No. But yeah.
Instagram.
But yeah,
Instagram.
Instagram, Local Drunks Pod, at Local Drunks Pod. I'm trying to debate whether or not we're getting the X. I don't think we really need to.
Nah, I'm not trying
No.
to dive into that realm.
No,
bro.
that dude is a
Yeah.
info farmer. All he
Yeah,
does is
no.
collect information.
Get my data for what?
Yeah, no, thank you. But then
Pay me for
Instagram, YouTube, and then at Patreon as well. We'll probably drop that in the link.
Hell yeah.
Patreon's Local Drunks Pod or Local Drunks Podcast. Also, we're going to start doing some restaurant visits. So if you're from the Bay Area and have some recommendations, feel
Yeah.
free to drop them in the comments or send us an email with them or DM us on Instagram. And then we're going to start taking field trips probably in the fall or winter, where local drunks in your neighborhood. So I think we're going to hit everybody down over in Sacramento. So we're going to hit Sacramento and hit a couple bars up there.
I've heard some good things about Sac's scene.
Sac's very fun to hang out in. That was
About to
actually
hit the
where we
Sac.
used to always go. But yeah, but to plow through that Sac. Daniel left the valley before he turned 21, so he doesn't have a good idea of drinking in Fresno. So it'll be kind of like local drunks return home, and I'll take him around Fresno and take him to some watering holes.
I'll take you to Selma, bro.
Oh,
I'll show you the bar.
I'm in the one bar.
Sporties. Oh, I think it's actually changed hands, and it's something different now.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be the 99 Club, which was my grandpa's go-to spot. He was the legend around there. He actually paid for the bar.
Wow.
Yeah, and my teeth are fucked up. Thanks, Grandpa.
Hey, priorities.
Priorities.
Yeah, priorities.
Yeah, they were funner. They were a lot more fun.
If you got him drunk, he'd probably pay for your teeth, bro.
You know, yeah. If I would have been of age, and able to banter, he probably would have paid for my teeth. But it's all good. You know, I could chew fine. So that's all.
Right.
That's all
it's
I
mostly
need.
soft foods anyway.
Yeah, soft.
Jellos.
There you go. I drink liquid most of the time anyway.
Oh, you do.
I eat liquid.
You do.
And so it was the 99 Club in Sports. It was called the Sports Bar.
Okay.
Sports. Shit, I forgot the full name.
Sporties?
We call it Sporties.
Mm-hmm.
Sports Club.
Sports Club, okay.
And I live behind both of them. So we get to hear all the drunken fights. We get to hear everything. And then the 99 Club shut down, and then Sporties was like the only one. And the signs, dude, the signage when you walk in there, no hoods, no colors, no this, no that, no barking. No barking, because we got the bulldogs out there, bro. It was wild. You can do anything, and it's fine too, because they're just like trying to prevent a bar fight and a gang brawl, because it's always what fucking happens there for some reason. And I'll take you there. I think if it's still open, I don't even know.
Yeah,
we'll go to Lee's nightclub.
We'll do like a Central Valley thing.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be rough.
We'll hit LA.
What you're kind of doing around here, city slickers? You got to choose a fancy camera.
Because we have too many teeth. That's why.
Fuck. Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Hey, you just have that one. And then that other one too.
Yeah.
And that third one that's about to fall out.
It's about to fall out, yeah.
The joys of working in the restaurants and not having dental.
Dental plan.
So drinking liquor and smoking cigarettes. It's just like, oh yeah, I hate you gums. And then LA, have some buddies in LA we can go and visit.
Tight.
Runs a restaurant down there in I think West Hollywood and some other places.
And
then San Diego too. I have a bunch of friends in San Diego we can go visit. So we'll definitely be bouncing on
nice, dude. I like
California, San Diego, and Portland too. I have some friends in Portland. I have some friends in Seattle.
Oh,
you have friends in Seattle too, don't you? You have a couple people.
My
right?
sister's there.
Oh, your sister's there.
I don't know about anybody else.
No chef friends up in Seattle?
No, not really.
Not really.
There, no.
So we'll have to go up and but if you want us to come visit,
I'd love to come visit you.
We'd love to come and visit and
come
you show us the haunts. I've been trying to get over to Chicago so I could drink some Malort. I've heard so much about Malort. It's there for net, but supposedly.
Oh, we have some at the shop. Not the shop, but at work.
We have some.
It smells funky. It smells like, what is it like?
Supposedly
like
people
cleaner?
say it's the worst thing you could ever drink, and only real Chicago people could drink it.
Malort. Okay.
But I really want to try some, and I told that to one of our coworkers one time, and they're like, "You're crazy. That stuff is gross." And I'm just like, "I gotta try it, bro. I gotta try everything at least once."
Fair enough.
And then New York, same thing. Miami, anywhere you drink and you want to show us around, we're open. We'll probably start trying to do those at least locally. In the fall, and then
are we just gonna walk up to their houses or their workplace of work with the camera?
We'll probably meet.
Just be like, "What's up, MTV Cribs?"
Yeah, show us where you live.
Yo, this is my prep area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we definitely, especially people in the industry too. If you want to, like, hey, these spots, those spots, we'd love to get back into restaurants and like, chat with chefs and
or one thing too, like places that you've been wanting to check out, so that way we can just check it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have enough experience between us to see if a place is all right.
Yeah. I think between us we have like 30 years, 35 years of restaurant experience.
That's terrible.
That's the worst. What have we been doing?
I don't know. We're trying to diversify. That's why we have a Patreon.
That's why we have a Patreon, yes.
Please get us out of this hell.
You'd like us to start hitting
I can't
new
escape.
spots.
I have student loans. Not
Yeah,
really.
not really. No, we didn't go
Not
to
yet.
college. Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. But yeah, so stay tuned. Looking at hopefully releasing something every single week. Like I said, shorts as well, different drinks, history of things, stuff like that. Oh yeah, we should do an absinthe thing next. Like we just talk about absinthe.
Oh,
that'd be kind of cool.
Shit from work.
Yeah, we borrow shit from work.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Do
All
a
right.
drip.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody,
Thanks everyone.
and
Thanks
stay
for
tuned.
joining us.
Yeah.
Hopefully we didn't bore you.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam.
Outro music.
There, there.